Hi, so this is a story that I did for the Sloth, which is our Thursday night storytelling group, and we do it every Thursday at 7 o'clock. Sign-ups at 6:45, true 5-minute stories, and we ask everybody here, encourage you all to come and tell your stories on Thursday night. You won't get paid, but, well, it's kind of fun, and there might be cake. And this is a story about cheese and other annoying things that inhabit this planet. Would you like to try a sample of our cheese ball? Blue cheese and white cheddar rolled in walnuts. The summer before my senior year of high school, I found myself working at Hickory Farms at the mall. Please don't tell anybody. I had wandered into the store to see if they had any free samples, and I apparently impressed the manager so thoroughly with my extensive knowledge of cheese that she hired me on the spot. Of course, I didn't tell her that most of what had come out of my mouth was recited verbatim from a Monty Python sketch, where an annoying customer recites the names of every type of cheese on the planet. But at that time, very few people had even heard of Monty Python, so I wasn't particularly worried about being found out. And a couple of years earlier, when the mall first opened, my mother suggested that we go over one Saturday to do lunch. Of course, the first example of fine cuisine that we encountered was the spaghetti special in the restaurant at Sears. And if we'd only walked a little bit further, we could have gone to any number of other restaurants where the overall risk of food poisoning would have been considerably less. And after a lengthy convalescence and a few more tentative visits to the mall, my mother came up with the theory that mall people were a lot like Hollywood extras, kept in warehouses somewhere and would be delivered periodically to replenish the supply of people standing in the way. So I was offered a position where I gave out samples of our cheese ball, blue cheese and white cheddar rolled in walnuts, to the mall people. But the things that I remember the most were having to get up on an uncomfortably tall ladder to dust the roofs of these stupid-looking cardboard barns that adorned the perimeter of the store, arriving at work without a coat in the middle of July, and being forced to spend the next several hours in the walk-in refrigerator reorganizing the cheese, and accidentally knocking an enormous box of individually wrapped candies onto the floor of the stockroom. Well, Joe Walsh's Life Has Been Good played endlessly on the radio in the background. 1978, for your information. What I remember the most fondly, however, was being given a bucket of vinegar and a rag and being told to clean the mold off last Christmas's sausages, then putting them out in the front display case to be sold before anybody noticed. On my break, I'd go to Farrell's and watch girls, but mostly I'd just stare into space feeling depressed. The luckier employees got to attend cheese school, but I missed out and soon went to work at my stepfather's travel agency, where I answered the phones and cheerfully put people on hold in the midst of chain-smoking, polyester-clad travel agents. I also got to go through travel brochures, including one for a resort that advertised itself as a nice place for illegally married couples, and another for what appeared to be a brothel somewhere in Malaysia. And a few months later, I was transferred over to the engineering department of my stepfather's furnace company, which was in the same building, where I spent the afternoon sitting in a room testing thermostats while reading my John Lennon book. And one day my supervisor, Ed, came in and asked if John was still with Yoko, so I knew that he was cool. And years later, after I left for college, my ex-girlfriend Louise acquired an annoying friend named Tim, who eventually moved to Japan to teach English, which I considered to be a very fortunate development. He was the sort of person who, if you looked up the phrase annoying person in the encyclopedia, there would be a picture of Tim next to an explanation of why you should avoid people like this. One of the more annoying things about Tim was that he was always asking Louise to mail him stuff. And one day, while we were waiting in line at the post office, I asked, "So what are you sending Tim this time?" To which he replied, "Oh, Tim likes Limburger cheese and they don't have it in Japan." Instantly, my opinion of the Japanese people went up immeasurably. "Louise, how did you wrap the cheese?" "Oh, I just kind of wrapped it up and threw it in there." The line didn't seem to be moving very fast, and after a few minutes, the smell of cheese began to gradually fill the lobby. Now, the first thing that I do in situations like this is to become extremely embarrassed, and I rushed outside to have a cigarette. I imagined Louise being asked if there was anything dangerous in the box, and the postal inspector coming out of his office to investigate, and then there would be an interrogation. The good news is that in the end, Tim apparently got the cheese and ate it, and maybe he died.